Using the Owen OFF actuator, as my father would say, solves everything. So thank you for the introduction. I'm really excited to be here. This is my second time at Valro and probably my last here now that it's, but I'm so excited to kind of end this chapter with a reading at Valro, so thank you for coming. Thank you for having me. So I would like to read from my MFA thesis about Medusa. I'm going to begin, ironically, with a poem titled Postface. I used to have to try to forget my face from before. So much of the face is dependent on how it's framed. I have mastered the art of forgetting what must be forgotten. What remains is what must be remembered. What follows is all after. That's the marvelous thing about after. There's always more of it. On and on and on. Cave song. So quiet since she left. Spiders spin webs in the crooks of elbows and between spread fingers. Those last-minute defensive postures that did no good against her. For a long time, men continued to enter through the mouth, to reek within, but their swords found no flesh. Sometimes they wrestled the swords and shields from the frozen hands of her long-ago victories. They did not bother to drag their fallen fellow men home. The pools do not ripple now. The walls do not shake. Thunder and lightning in one being, that wail, shriek, roar. Her explosive clashes with her would-be killers are not missed. And still, when the ghosts spider over the pale marble canvases, when the bats hang from their limbs, there's an echo, a feeling that something is missing. Medusa's skin. Time, this light, this song, this road, this kettle, this daydream, this lace, this garden, this argument, this gaze, this anger, this shore, this flyer, this goddess, this snake, this wire, this poem, this house, this tusk, this journey, this fire, this stone, this mask, this fault line, this hero, this trade, this star, this shard, this stone, this burn. So, this was a poem that my mentor, Michael Wiley, told me that I had to write when I shared him an article that was explaining that Sony Pictures was going to produce an animated Medusa movie. Sony Pictures, according to rumor on the internet, bumped this movie for the Emoji Movie.
Wow.
Great move, guys. Wow. Good job. So this is my found poem titled Medusa 2018. A clever, heartfelt, animated comedy about a girl who's having the ultimate bad hair day. Why? So much why. This is my last Medusa poem for the night. Do you wish you'd never been changed? Lines on the body tell a story, and hers does have so many lines. Sometimes even she can't tell when one ends and another begins. She traces the lines on her arms, the tusks on her face, the feathers down her back, the long, long history of her heart. She reaches up, and her snakes trace the path her fingers left across her arms. Nudging, brushing, tongues tasting, circling, squeezing these branches of her body. She once mourned the life she might have had, the beauty she definitely had. But when her slight smile carries the firm weight of gentleness, she says, "My dear man, whatever makes you think I'm not exactly who I was always meant to be?" And I'd like to read a few from my MA thesis. Destin. Here, then, wispy Alice, with hair a purple and gray bob, boarding a bus. Her fingers curl around the strap of her backpack, even as the wind fingers through her hair, throwing up the shorter strands. A bob is a haircut, but is also a means of rhythm, a song in body sung. Alice is boarding a bus. No, Alice has boarded. No tire tracks remain. Alice has gone, following the musical notes north. Alice who? There was once an anonymous who was Alice and not Alice. It is said she knew Alice better than she knew herself. This was if she was not Alice. But when she was Alice, she didn't know anybody at all. In a former life, she danced on the fixed plains of small birds. In this life, she only watches them from below, always wondering how to yank herself into motion, how to build enough momentum to get off the ground. She's wireless now, wireless and wingless and wanton. The dryad is hired as a carpenter. It's painful at times, but the wood sings for her like it sings for no one else. She fells the trees herself, chainsaw shriek reverberating up her arms, thrash. She handles the limbs gently, sandpapers with firm strokes, some short and quick, others long and lingering. Cuts, glues, screws, measures, levels, clamps. It's true that her family finds her activities disturbing, but when she is locked in her workshop, she is powerful in her creation. She uses both sapwood and heartwood, knowing that it's the heart that can take the most brutal care. In this strong armoire, her customers can fold and tuck away their linens, the sheets of their lives. They will want it stained. She slicks on a clear finish instead, watches the wood shine, feels the miseries and the joys collide as it dries. The banshee is hired as a grief counselor. She welcomes them into her office, offers them a cup of tea. While they cradle the cups in their hands, she crosses the room and presses a button on the radio. Heavy metal, it throats against the walls against the windows rattles between the ribs of their only human bodies. "It's okay to be angry," she tells them as they sop up spilt tea with napkins. The lucky ones do not wear white. Inevitably, some of them make a quick exit. The ones who stay, though, the ones who stay scream with her. Their pain lifts above the music. They drown together. The ones who hurt the hardest scream until they're cradled, crying in her arms. And sometimes she screams for them. But mostly, she drinks up the wails that must be released in order for anyone to heal. This is my last monster poem. The Fate is hired as a stylist. Customers often feel uneasy with her. In her chair, they are at her mercy. She swirls them around to face the mirror, stardust in her eye as she spreads their hair around their shoulders. The glint of scissors flashes. When she cuts, she plucks a few strands of their hair from the severed waves, brushes them against her face. She breathes in their threads' lives. My final poem for the night is the song she sings. She put antlers on her head, balanced one on each side, nestled into her curls. She didn't want to ever again forget she is an urban legend, a hopeless romantic, a tall tale. She'd considered horns, the ones that curve in a slicked back, curled up grace, but they were far too symmetrical for her taste. So here the antlers rise higher, reach for branches too high to reach, just as branches reach for rain too high to reach. This is all legends are, hands held out for hands held out, for hands, for hands, for hands, and a pair of antlers that grows roots in the mind.